All right. So our movie this week was Spotlight. And I'm just going to read some things from Wikipedia. Spotlight is a 2015 American biological drama film directed by Tom McCarthy and written by McCarthy and Josh Singer. The film follows the Boston Globe's Spotlight team, the oldest continuously operating newspaper investigative journalist unit in the United States, and its investigation into cases of widespread and systematic child sex abuse in the Boston area by numerous Catholic priests. Although the plot was original, it was loosely based on a series of stories by the Spotlight team that earned the Globe the 203 Pulitzer Prize for public service. The film features an ensemble cast, including Mark Ruffalo, Michael Keaton, Rachel McAdams, John Slattery, Stanley Tucci, with Brian Archie James, Liev Schreiber, and Billy Crudup in supporting roles. So it cost around $20 million to make, and it made nearly $100 million. It was I think it was up for 6 Academy Award and won 2. I think Best Picture in 2015, and also what was the other one? Directing, or I think it was directing or screenplay maybe. But so I kind of looked at a couple other little things here on it. The historical accuracy, the visual blog information is beautiful, deduced that while taking creative license into account, the film was 76% accurate when compared to real life events, summarizing that the only conceits are scenes of power figures warning off the journalists. So it was that kind of indicated to me that it was a little more accurate than I thought. And then reactions from the Catholic Church. The Vatican Radio, the official radio service of the Holy See, called it honest and compelling, and said it helped the U.S. Catholic Church to accept fully the sins, to admit it publicly, and pay all the consequences. That kind of surprised me too, to see that they took some responsibility there. Then one other thing that I got from a website called MovieWeb talked about the reactions from the Catholic Church. It said the film was ultimately criticized by the church, with some figures stating that it misrepresented how the church responded to allegations, claiming they altered this for dramatic effect. Jack Dunn, the director of public affairs at Boston College High School, ended up accusing McCarthy of defamation due to how he was portrayed in the film. Regardless, Spotlight did a lot to increase awareness of the horrific scandal. So that's all I kind of had to start the show off with, to do it. I know it's pretty controversial, and I thought I'd never seen it, but then I did remember some scenes and things like that once I got into it. I definitely remembered that final scene when it showed all the different cities. You know, it had like 100 cities where it took off and everything. So it seems like back in 2015, maybe this was like it wasn't exactly a witch hunt, but it was certainly in the press a lot, and still is today. So I don't know. It's an interesting film. I don't know if it was worthy of Academy Award or not, but I'm curious to see what you all thought.
I thought it was a great movie. I have no background whatsoever in journalism, but I appreciate what this team went through. And I was wondering, this Spotlight name, is that just for them working at the Boston Globe, or is that kind of a term that's used in general for these people that, you know, hunker down and get to the bottom of all the stories? Anybody know?
I think it was their division name in the paper. That was the impression I got, but I can't speak authoritatively about that.
Okay.
I would think Mike Sanders wouldn't know. He kind of worked for a similar type of deal.
Yeah, it's probably the name of their investigative group and the way they distinguish it at the paper, I would guess.
I mean, they did say in the film that they had been an investigative group. I think I just said that in my notes too, that they'd been an investigative group for a long time. So
I thought it was a great movie. I enjoyed it a lot. It kept me engaged the whole time. I didn't fall asleep. It was really interesting. And, you know, based on true facts, I don't know how much of it was true either, but I mean, it seemed like it was true, or, you know, based pretty accurate, but I don't really know. But
well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think they'd give it an Academy Award for, you know, if it was like had no basis. But still, I mean, I kind of think about it. The acting, you know, I don't know what it was up against that year, but it didn't quite seem like a best picture to me. You know, that the way it was put together and all that, the acting was good, but was it great? You know, and I don't know.
Seems like Hollywood sometimes rewards people for the social cause they are working through, and occasionally they one of those movies I think wins because they were brave enough to go into that controversial topic and stir things up. I can't think of any immediate examples, but it does seem like Hollywood's sensitive to that.
Well, I think one could be like what was the one that about AIDS?
Philadelphia.
Yeah, well, not that. I was thinking of the Matthew McConaughey one.
Oh, Dallas Buyers Club.
Yeah.
This reminded me a lot of All the President's Men, because you've got a newspaper story and you've got some reporters running around, and for visuals, it's a little weak. I mean, it's not like, you know, a guy gets pushed off a building or there's a big fight or all those sorts of things that go on. With All the President's Men, they would meet with Deep Throat in the garage, and you never knew who Deep Throat was during the whole movie, and that gave you a little bit of mystery. And here, it was knocking on doors. It's really old-fashioned. How many times have you heard of a newspaper reporter finding out a story in Kansas City by knocking on doors and going to the victims and trying to get them on the record? It's not easily done. TV journalists spoil it for them because they're always, whenever somebody dies in a plane crash or somebody with a microphone in their face, how do you feel? Well, I lost my loved one, so I don't feel very well. And my dinner's getting cold and I get back to it. And they piss off people. So anyway, it reminded me a lot of that. And it was hard to find, you know, I usually look for a picture behind me here. And, you know, what did I have? I mean, you guys have pictures of the team standing around and working at their computer. Just got them over, you know, looking over their shoulder. One of the things that I thought added a little bit of tension was towards the end, when they were writing the thing on what you would see on the screen. It would say your deadline is going to be in 8 days and 22 minutes, and it's clicking off. So you're thinking, wow, they really are slamming this thing together at the last minute. But it's tough. But like you've said so far, I think like Jeff said, I think Hollywood does like it when people expose things like this and get into it. And I think this is a case where it was a pretty good movie and it was a pretty good ensemble cast and it had some good elements to it. And, you know, the poor guy who had one of the, you know, places where they were hiding the priest in his neighborhood, I felt sorry for that guy when I first saw it. When I saw it again, you know, what would you do? Would you go and tell your neighbors that these guys live there? He kept asking that question and nobody seemed to care. Nobody gave him the answer, but
They
he
never
put
did.
it up. No, he didn't go to his neighbors, but boy, he stuck it up on his refrigerator for his kids and said, don't go to this address.
Right.
Without really explaining what was going on. You know, it's hard to keep a secret in a town. Even, you know, Boston's a big town, but think about it in Kansas City. It's hard to keep a secret there too. It's really a big, small town is the way I used to think of it. Everybody knows somebody everywhere, just about. And when you're talking about, you're taking on the Catholic Church, everywhere there's a parish, there's a priest. Everywhere there's a priest, there's a problem. And Kansas City had its share of it. Seattle did too. They were on the list. I remember when I used to live around Pleasant Hill, and a youth pastor in Pleasant Hill, and my daughters went to this guy every Sunday night. The youth pastor would have a get together with the kids, and they went for like a couple of years, and he ended up facing charges for molesting like a dozen young girls. And somehow my two daughters didn't get approached and didn't know anything about it. That's how secret it can be.
Wow.
You would think that would come out, but it's such a shameful thing, and it's so easy to hide, I guess. I don't know. And especially by moving the priest. Okay, well, we got rid of him. He's not there anymore. You don't have to worry about it. We hope you understand that this is the best thing for you, or whatever. I think Pope Francis made the difference this time around. This is something that's been going on for a long time, and he's a pope where you get the response from the Vatican that says they did a good job on pointing this out and letting us know that we need to deal with it, because it's been a problem for years. But that's my soapbox. Terry, what do you think? You're awful quiet over there on the other side of the room.
Hey, Cardinal Law apparently got a real promotion, right?
Right.
She
Yeah.
went from Boston to the Vatican, one of the highest, most prestigious places. What's that all about?
Supposedly he's still there.
Yeah, what message does that send?
Exactly.
Oh, you've never heard of getting rid of somebody by pushing them up? By
No,
advancing
I
their
want to
career?
dunk them.
Right, I know. They're witches. Yeah, that's what it is. No, we did.
Well, it's
Go.
you know, Churchill always kept his enemies close at hand.
Well, there you go.
Mm.
Well, I just, you know, it just brings up philosophical issues that I like to ponder, you know, such as, why are priests celibate? You know, why is that a big deal? Why do they
Apparently
make
they're
them do that?
not.
Well, but
From
they
that
take a
statistics.
vow. They
I
take a
know.
vow of that stuff, and they're not allowed to be married. Oh, I'm going to go to marriage counseling to the priest. What? What the fuck? Asking them about something they have
What
no
do they
experience
know?
whatsoever.
Mhm.
Like Jewish rabbis marry, Zen people marry. They get a little uptight over in India and some of their things, but does anybody know why?
Do tell.
Well, because there's this big schism between you can't be spiritual and sexual at the same time. You deny the body. And this is the Hindus as well as some of the other ones, but that's based on that nonsense. And in the Catholic Church, it's all based on Paul going on. And, you know, just like you can't be spiritual if you're sexual, and which is not true, but it's ingrained in so many of these spiritual traditions. Yeah. So anyway, then that sets up this I don't know, what do you call it? Conundrum, puzzle, contradiction. You know, you've got your body with all these natural impulses and stuff, but yet they're telling you not to do it. Like, I know the religion I escaped from, I called it the religion of don't. You know, you weren't supposed to have any fun whatsoever except thumping your Bible in people's faces. trying to talk him into accept Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior. That's the only thing that was worthwhile doing. Yeah, right. So
What was that religion?
it's Southern Baptist.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. No dancing, no drinking, no movies, no sex, no, nothing. It's like, come on, people.
Don't they sing and dance in church and stuff? In Southern
Oh, we
Baptist?
sang. No dancing though.
No,
no dancing.
not Baptist. No.
What are the black churches in the South that get up and hallelujah and all this
Yeah,
stuff?
like
Well, that's black churches. It's a whole different thing.
It's different, yeah.
So I got over that quickly. I mean, as quickly as I could.
No doubt.
But again, it sets up that that, what's the fucking word? I can't think of the
I think conundrum.
internal conflict, between what your body's telling you and what you feel is natural, and then you've got your head trip organization telling you, not to do that. So then, then what do? Go underground. And then my own question is like, how can anybody, not just this, but all the other crimes of the Catholic Church, how could anyone with a conscience go around and call themselves a Catholic? Sorry. It's like,
Well,
if would you want to have any association with that?
if they're priests, you'd think that they would believe that they're going to go to hell for sinning, and yet they do it. I mean, don't they believe they're all going to go to hell?
I guess.
Not if they go to
I don't know
confession.
what they believe.
And they're
Yeah.
absolved of their sins.
You can do anything and be absolved.
Wasn't there was some discussion of that in the movie, wasn't there? Where they talked about how they were absolved of, the church knew of it. And
How about that scene where they went to interview the priest and he came out and he started talking and just spilling the beans, and then his sister came up and said, "Get the hell out of here. Stop talking to him."
Yeah.
He was really letting him know that as far as he was concerned, it was kind of okay, and that there was a lot of ability to rationalize this out of existence and not think that it was really a bad thing. That was quite a scene.
it really,
He definitely wanted people to know about it.
So,
Yeah.
so why did none of these people end up in prison? And the whoever he was, law or whatever, that's conspiracy.
Power of
Why
the church.
why aren't these people in jail? Aren't there laws about that? I mean, just because they're in the church doesn't mean that it's legal, in the United States or whatever state they were in. Why
Part of this movie was though that they had
jail?
They had deep influence with everybody, right?
they what?
The church had deep influence in the government. And so they could get things to slide that would otherwise be punished severely. So that was a scary part of that, is how deeply entrenched that part of things were. I thought, to Mike's point, there wasn't a lot of action. I kept thinking somebody's going to come along and kill one of these guys because they're bucking the church, and it just never happened.
They just move him out of town to get him out of the jurisdiction. You want to file a lawsuit against this guy? Well, now he's in Ohio.
Yeah.
Or cardinal laws at the Vatican. You want to go after him? Good luck.
Not a lawsuit, a criminal indictment.
Well,
Shit.
Yeah, I don't know. It's and Boston is like, I don't know what the statistics are, but I'm sure it's like 80% Catholic, probably. Was that in the movie where they talked about how many people are Catholic in Boston?
I think they did, but I don't remember the
I
number.
thought it was 53, but
It was 53.
that was a number for something. I'm not sure if that was
Oh, yeah.
Catholics, but
I know in St. Louis, it's about 70% Catholic. And Whitaker, who's not here, so he would have to tell you the story. He was the news director of KMOX for a time, and they tried to do a story about some priests that were going to gay prostitutes. And he took, the Catholic Church did not take kindly to this whole thing, and they basically set Whitaker down and said, you're going to have to find another place to work, because you won't, in this community with all these people here, it's not going to work out.
Wow.
I was going to ask about that. I'm sorry he's not here tonight.
Yeah, I shouldn't even be talking about his problems, but
I don't think it was his problem. I think it was the church's problem.
right. No, it's tough to take on people like that. I had I think this guy's dead. I wish Mahoney was here. There used to be a guy in Kansas City that was he was a real estate guy, really, but he was kind of a kingmaker when it came to mayors and things like that. And he was involved in some nasty mailers that went out that were, called some black people monkeys or something like that, and he totally disavowed it and said he had nothing to do with it. Jim Nutter, that was the guy, Jim Nutter. He ran a private mortgage company. I think he's dead, so I can tell the story better. But anyway, I'm calling him and I'm trying to follow this story, and I'm running it down, and he goes, you don't know who you're messing with, man. I am important in this town. And I said, I know who you are, Mr. Nutter, and I realize you have a big impact in politics here, but that makes it even more important to do this story, because people like you shouldn't tolerate these things happening. Well, I don't. And I'm here to tell you, I could get you killed for $100. And I'm on the phone, and I said, really? I could get you killed for $69.50.
Love it.
And so he said, you just wait. You're not going to be working there by the end of the day. And he hung up on me. And then my boss came in, from the general manager of the station. He goes, Sanders, were you talking?
You're fired.
No, he said, were you talking to Nutter? And I said, yeah, I was. And he goes, boy, what did you do to him? He's mad at you, man. He wants me to fire you right now. And I said, oh, he told me he could kill me for $100. And I told him I could kill him for $69.50. And my boss laughed, and he loved it. He thought that was hilarious. And he said, oh, good. Well, don't worry about it. You don't have anything to worry about. Just go back to work. Don't get everybody so mad, though. We don't need them all mad at us. But I went through 3 lawsuits that cost the station a lot of money. We started out with libel insurance, and then we ended up being self-insured after the 3rd lawsuit I got sued on. It's hard to do those things and take on the powers that be. It's not easy, I'll tell you. Any of you guys familiar with Seymour Hersh? He used to work for the New York Times, but he became a freelance investigative reporter in Washington, D.C. I think he just put out a book. He's 80. That guy, he couldn't even work for the New York Times. I mean, when he did work at the Times, he got in trouble too much. And they told him to hold back here and don't do this there. And he just went out on his own, and he writes books instead. Then you'll see him on 60 Minutes, or you'll see him, when his story gets out. Eventually, you'll see him on CNN or 60 Minutes talking about it. But so I admire folks that do all this. I do not envy movie makers that try to make it exciting. I think it had a lot of tension in it as it went along, and it was the drama was good, dramatic conflict. But as far as visuals, mine's a good example of that. Watching a newspaper press go by is not really something that's going to keep you in your seat, not go get some popcorn or something. But, I don't know that I would have gone to, I saw this, when Netflix was Get 'Em in the Mail, I think, back then. And I thought it was a great picture, but I don't know that I would have spent $20 to go see it at the movie theater. Would you have, Barnhart?
Did I do that?
No, would you have? Would you have spent $20 to go see this at the theater?
I don't know. I was really liking Michael Keaton. I mean, he won Best Actor the year before in Birdman.
Right.
So, and I loved that movie. And so when this came out, I mean, it was just a year later, and I was all about Michael Keaton, but I don't think I did go see it when it came out. I think, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't even know that much about it when it won the Academy Award, but I mean, I think it was a subject matter that has kind of peaked. I don't think it gets near the discussion it did back in 2015. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not. I'm not sure that, that this discussion about the Catholic Church is as big as it was then. Do you think it's subsided somewhat, or?
Definitely.
Oh, there you go. Chris said definitely, right?
Yeah, I think it's subsided. I don't know that the activities have, but as far as it being newsworthy, you got other stuff going on that I won't even bring up.
That's like Trump saying that Biden is going to make World War II break out.
He's so funny.
Important news like that, when you've got that to go. But no, I think you're right, Bill. I think it was in the headlines quite a bit, and it really went around the country. It was one of those phenomena where I think everybody followed up on Spotlight, and everybody did their own kind of stuff. I know in Kansas City, they were doing stories about priests getting moved here and priests getting moved there and all that sort of thing. And now it's, how many people get killed by the police for no good reason,
Didn't the church have to pay out billions to the victims though?
They did. It cost, but the church is pretty rich.
Well,
When you consider all the real estate they own in the world, they're the largest holder of real estate in the world. And then most of it goes back to antiquity. So, they've got some pretty, that's why we should tax churches, really, to be honest with you. That's my own personal opinion. Why do guys like Joel Osteen get a break?
Oh, seriously.
Pope Francis, okay, I kind of get that one, but Joel Osteen is in his, what do they call that? Make money gospel that he talks about all the time.
There's all kinds of scammers out there.
Yeah.
Frank Zappa has a pretty funny song about TV evangelists. I don't know if you've ever listened to that. His heavenly bank account has got Learjets and all this other stuff. It's a cutting song. I have a question about the cast and how things worked during the movie, and that is, who do you think was actually the lead actor? Because Mark Ruffalo was very much an active person. Even Liev Schreiber was pretty important in this. Michael Keaton, obviously, but everybody else played a pretty big role too. They all worked pretty hard on this, and for me, it was hard to figure out who, if you're going to think of the movie as having a star, was there a star in this, or was it a consolidated effort thing? And I think it was the latter, really.
Well, I don't know if this is based on how much they were paid or anything like that, but Mark Ruffalo came before Michael Keaton.
He made more money?
Well, no, in the credits at the end, the actor that comes first is, that's a big deal.
No, that's top billing is what they call that.
Top billing, right. And he was first, and then it was Michael Keaton. Then there was somebody else, then Liev Schreiber,
Yeah.
Which I was really, he's always like so full of, he's such an action figure kind of guy, he's in the X-Men and he's like Defiance and all of these things but he was like so subdued as the new owner, I guess. And it took me a while to go, is that him? It's like, oh yeah, with the beard and then the glasses. Was like, he didn't have his normal look. So that
I think, sorry, Jerry. I think he sat back and just turned the Spotlight team loose because he was Jewish in the movie. And therefore, I don't think that he felt that he could contribute anything to it. However, he did force that team to investigate. He felt it was important enough, and they didn't want to do it. but he said, yes, you will do this. So he made it happen and then just sort of, hung back.
Well, I
With-
actually meant
had a
more
kid
his
before.
manner,
Yeah.
soft-spoken, almost monotonous, monotone.
Mhm.
That's what was, that was what was the big difference that I saw with his, because he's an actor. He's not playing his usual thing. He's doing somebody else. So I thought it was really good. I like him mostly because he was or is married to Naomi Watts.
Mark Ruffalo is?
No, Liev Schreiber.
Oh,
So that answers your question, Jeff. Really, when you do watch the end of the movie, it's top billing on down, and they thought Mark Ruffalo was the top billing.
but
Yeah.
but yet he is up for a supporting actor and Academy Award.
Right.
So did it? I'm not sure if I understand it or not, but that has to do with the number of lines. I mean, I suppose if you have that many actors and actresses, your lines get cut down drastically, right? Isn't it kind of basic? Why wouldn't he be up for actor instead of supporting actor?
Oh, it'd be the makers of the film, the producers, when they filed for it, what they thought. And so I guess they thought Michael Keaton was probably the star and he was probably the supporting actor.
Well,
Although they didn't put it in the movie that way, like
credits, like you were just saying.
like Terry was saying, yeah. I don't know. It's tough with ensemble cast because a lot of those guys contributed quite a bit, all the way down the line, just about. It's not like Woodward and Bernstein, where you just basically got two guys, and then you had Jason Robards played the publisher there. But I don't know. You got me on that one. That's we'll have to ask the guys that ducked out on this one what they think.
Yeah, and it may just be a different model where the acting is shared as evenly as possible instead of anointing somebody to be the main guy.
Little Miss Sunshine, they won an award for best ensemble acting from SAG, best ensemble group, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was in the awards or they were nominated for something like that in this one. Although the Academy doesn't have such an award, the Screen Actors Guild does, and it might be something like that.
Yeah. Have any of you ever had it where this affected you in any way? I'm just thinking of this one night I was at the Peanut, which is a bar here, and it was pretty late, and I started talking to this guy, and I don't know, this is like back when the movie came out or something like that. He was probably 20 years younger than me, and maybe even brought up the movie. I don't really remember how we started talking about it. And he started talking about how he was abused. And man, it was just not, it was not a conversation that I wanted to be in or one I could get out of. I've thought about it a lot over the years, and it's, you can see why if something like that happened to you, there would be a lot of anger and all that. And sometimes I just, I can't forget that conversation. I kept wanting to get out of it, but I couldn't do it. So I know it's a real issue. Because I've been affected by it. But I don't know, just wondered if any of you have had incidences like that.
I'm not.
No, I can't say that I've talked to anybody myself, but I did know a woman who was a social worker, and her job was to work with, sexually abused kids, and her husband confessed to her that he was such a person through his priest, and they got divorced. It didn't turn out pretty at all. So it's amazing. I mean, you would think somebody like her who made a career out of that, and they'd been married for 20, 25 years. And then she saw no signs of this. She saw nothing wrong. You know, she didn't see any of the warning signs or anything. And at some point, he decided to confront her with it. And it's sad. That's the only way to describe it. I don't know another way, really. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes at the Peanut, listening to somebody on the other side of the bar and not being able to get away from it. I'll tell you
No.
that.
It's
No.
reminiscent of some of those witness scenes in the movie where these people were distraught and very hurt, and they were saying, you guys have to pursue this. This is not okay.
Yeah.
And there's particularly that one guy, I don't remember what his name was, but he was, you know, he was strident in his discussion about what had happened to him and how important it was to do something about it. Those were powerful scenes, I thought.
Yeah, not
Very
only
much
that, but the paper itself ignored it. I thought that was interesting. That
Yeah.
it got kind of pushed away, and the Spotlight did a little thing on it so they could say that they did respond to it, but they didn't really go into it at that time. What was I can't remember that guy's name. It was Keaton's buddy, where he went to his house, and his buddy was really mad at him for doing that. He said, "What about you guys? You guys didn't do anything either."
Right.
Billy Crudup told him that. You had all these, you know, I gave you 20 people 10 years ago, and you guys ignored it, you know. So it's one of those things that no one really wants to talk about it.
Yeah, that was interesting how they said there was a cottage industry between
Yeah.
the players and the church that, you know, they would get them off, and they just kept the money rolling into them.
The legal part of this was interesting. The two main lawyers that they featured had important roles, and they were not the nicest people, but you could understand where they were coming from. Hard.
Yeah.
I think it was a good pick, Bill.
Okay, thanks.
I
Yeah.
had it on my short list. We might have had me doing this one when it came my turn again, because I had that one as one to use. So
Yeah.
Roger Ebert,
Huh?
sorry, Bill. But I was just gonna comment something that Roger Ebert had in his review. The very last line is Spotlight, with all its pain and urgency, is a pure celebration of journalists doing what they do best. So the movie is supposed to celebrate the journalists and their job. Just saying.
I think there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, you know, I think that our free press has really opened doors and kept us informed. I was reading I was watching a deal about Russian journalists. It was on YouTube. It was really good. It was about half-hour long, but this guy, he was one of the top journalists in Russia, and he won a Pulitzer Prize in literature. And since the war has begun over there, I mean, Putin has done everything to exile him and his whole staff. I mean, in Russia right now, they can't report the truth, you know, and our press is still free, and that's a good thing, I think.
Definitely.
As long as you have a good crap detector.
Yeah, you need a crap detector for sure.
Fuck. Ferret out the truth on this bullshit that's fed to us for entertainment value. Oh, we got to make the news entertaining. You know, the hell with giving people the news. It's got to bring in money. You know, we got to have people watching. Oh yeah, it's a top goal.
people gave me trouble, Terry. I used to say, we've got hot dogs and cars we got to sell people. Because in TV, there's always McDonald's and there's Chevy, you know. looking over your shoulder or whatever you're doing.
Mm.
Well, I thought it was interesting, you know, and I'm glad that everyone seemed to enjoy it. I know it was controversial and tough subjects and stuff like that, but I think it was a good one to see.
It was good pick.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
So are you next, Terry?
Yes,
Yeah.
I am. But we still have 17 minutes to go.
That's all right. We
No,
need you to pick, and then we'll do recommendations. So that, you know, if everybody turns in one recommendation, we'll be right on time.
well, here's movies I went through until I decided today, Davey, the movies that I was thinking about picking. A Very Long Engagement was one of them.
Who's in?
Rob Roy was another one. You guys seen either of those?
I've seen Rob Roy.
Rob Roy.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Another Liam Neeson movie. Back to back. Seeing what else was I thinking of? Well, I didn't pick it this time, but next time I'm picking La Strada, David Lynch's favorite movie influence by Federico Fellini.
Fellini, yeah.
Yeah. La Strada, black and white. It's pretty good. I watched it years ago.
What year?
What year did I watch it? It's not when it came out. I was watching in like 2009 stuff. It's like from the 50s, I think. What?
What year did it come out?
In the 50s sometime maybe, or the 40s. I don't remember.
What's the one we are going to watch?
I'm not telling.
Pick.
It's a David Lynch movie you probably have never heard of.
Eraserhead.
No, everyone's heard of Eraserhead. It's called an anomaly among his movies, by the way. It's called The Straight Story. Anybody ever heard of it? The Straight Story. And I only came across it because I was doing a survey I really got into David Lynch back in like 2009 and 10. I was, watched a lot of his movies and then watched things about, I made it through, I'd never gotten to watch Twin Peaks when it was out. So I watched all of that and many of his movies. And I came across this one called The Straight Story. And only today, when I looked it up, it's like, oh yeah, shit, that was made by David Lynch. This is definitely the one I'm going to pick. So a guy has not spoken to his brother for 10 years. He's old as we are, maybe a little older. And he hasn't spoken to his brother for 10 years. And he wants to go visit he lives in Iowa and he wants to visit his brother in Wisconsin. But he doesn't have a driver's license, so he drives his riding lawnmower across Iowa into Wisconsin to go visit his brother. It's got Sissy Spacek in it. So I came across it. I was like, what's that one about that guy that drove his riding lawnmower down the highway and all that stuff? And then I looked it up, Googled it, and then, as I said, saw it was David Lynch. I go, yeah, heck yes. It's based on a true story. So, and then, Lynch latched onto it and did it. So I think it'll be good. It is good.
Have you seen it before?
Yeah, I watched it back,
5 years ago.
20 years ago. Not 20, 15. 14.
Any idea where it's playing now for streaming?
I saw it on Prime. No, okay. I saw it on YouTube. And La Strada is on Prime. Last time I looked for it wasn't playing it wasn't available anywhere. But yeah, The Straight Story. I guess the guy's name is Straight, so that's why they call it that.
Okay.
Oh,
so in the trailer I watched today, I saw some things to remind me of the movie, and yeah, it'll be fun to see what you think. was also
Lestrade
thinking
from
of-
1954.
Yeah, Lestrada. Yeah, the year we were 1 years old, most of us.
Mhm.
Not Jeff.
No, not Jeff.
Not Mike, not yet.
No, I was 1 year old. I just
But
haven't
not
turned
till
I just
October.
haven't turned 70 yet. That's all.
1954. He would have been 4 months old, 3 months old when it came out, or when the January 54.
Oh,
So yeah, there's no guns. I mean, there is one gun. He's got his shotgun out at one time, but there's no handguns, and nobody gets killed, and nobody's, it's pretty neat actually.
Well,
Oh, the other one, another possible was A Hard Day's Night. It's the only Beatles movie that you can watch on YouTube. I don't know about other places, but no Magical Mystery Tour, no Help, no Let It Be. Well, I don't know. I didn't look up Let It Be, but I thought it would be fun to watch The Hard Day's Night. It's only an hour and a half long too, so it's 90 minutes instead of 120.
so do you guys like watching Beatles movies? I mean, to me, they're like, they start running from the crowd,
Like slapstick.
and then I think I'm going to watch it, and then I kind of fall asleep or something. I don't.
Reminds me of the Monkees too much, yeah. Who were really imitating them to begin with. So,
Right.
Right.
all right, what else do we have? We got 8 minutes left, I think.
8 minutes.
I started watching Foundation. Has anybody else watched that?
I watched a couple of episodes of it, but it lost my. I didn't come back to it. How's it going? How far are you into it?
What is it?
I'm like one episode into it. It's a sci-fi thing. And
It's
it's,
on Apple, right?
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's about this
Who's in it?
mathematician that he's sociology or something, and he uses numbers to predict what's going to happen in society in the future, and he has predicted that society is going to fail. So he's talking to the powers that be to tell them this, and he said, this is going to happen regardless, but if we take some steps now, we can make that downfall as brief as possible. So when civilization arises again, it'll be as quickly as possible and so forth. And so the foundation part is he's building a foundation for that to happen, and he's running into all kinds of resistance from the powers. He's like an emperor.
So it's good, in your opinion.
Well, it had an interesting concept, and then there's a young protege, genius mathematician woman who's from a kind of an unpopular planet, and she is involved in what's going on as well. You think that's accurate, Mike?
Yeah, that sounds like it.
It's on Apple.
Yeah.
I started back up watching, I guess it's called Winning Time. I want to keep calling it Showtime, but it's called Winning Time. It's about the LA Lakers. And it just goes through their championships seasons in the 80s. And I don't know, it's pretty interesting, really. I think it is. They really built something special out there in the 80s, and all the characters. A lot of things happened in the background that you would never imagine. Like Magic Johnson wanting to quit the team, and just how Pat Riley became the coach of the team, and all that. It's a pretty good little series, especially for the basketball fan, I think. I did watch. I'm like on the third episode of the second season. I was watching it last night and got done, and I thought, is that really true? And so I started YouTubing it, and I found this YouTube of the Lakers, the Showtime Lakers, which are the 80s Lakers. They had a reunion in Hawaii last year. So all these guys are like 10 to 15 years older than me. You know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he's like in his 80s now. Even Magic Johnson is in his 80s, I think. And they showed him, and so Pat Riley, he's got to be 85, you know, and they just show him running around on a court in Hawaii, you know, kind of like they're just playing around. But gosh, they're so old now. It's like, it's so scary, you know. But it's a good series. It's a good series. I'm enjoying it.
You watching anything fun, Chris?
Oh, the new season of Virgin River.
Virgin Ripper?
Virgin River. It's on Netflix. I'm sure none of you guys would care to watch it at all, but yeah, I've watched that this week, but didn't seem like I concentrated on anything else very much.
What's it about?
It's about this wonderful small town in Northern California and all of the drama that goes on in this little town. You know, who gets who pregnant, and doctors that are, you know, cavorting with other women in the town. And of course there's a good guy, but he's a bartender, but he has his issues, PTSD from being in Iraq, and a couple of the guys that work for him that have their own issues. And yeah, it gets a little kind of like, okay, are we done here? So I hope they don't bring it back, but of course they always set it up to where they do, and I'll have to watch it next year.
I think probably the goal of all these series on all these things is to become a soap opera that you'll watch for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm. It does have beautiful scenery. Oh my gosh, the scenery is outstanding.
Seems like you know, all of our picks are movies, but it seems like all the extras are always series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does seem that way. I was going to mention when you were talking about it, the scenery is so great. On local television last night, Yellowstone was on CBS, and I know Jeff was watching Yellowstone. And I thought, well, where are they? Because I was trying to follow everything, and they said it was going to come back, and then it wasn't going to come back, and then maybe next year and all kinds of stuff. And they were on season 1, episode 1. You know, so I think the writer's strike they thought, well, why screw with this? Let's just go with what we know, and we know plenty of people will tune into this, so they threw it up there. But yeah, no, I'm the same way. I find it took me, I don't know how many weeks to finally get 3 series I was following off my list, you know, because they came out one at a time. That always drives me nuts too. It's too bad. It seems like Netflix more often than not just gives you all of them at once, and you can just enjoy them at your pleasure.
Yeah, they're pretty good at that.
Did I hear this last weekend here, or did one of you tell me, or did it whatever, that they're thinking about making a sequel to Queen's Gambit?
They are.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who told you.
I would watch that.
Yeah, I bet you would. Yeah, no, they're working on that. They're hamstrung because with the the actors and writers on strike, that makes it tough. You know, what are you going to do? I guess they can try to put a production together, but really they shouldn't be doing anything at all.
So what's the issue there? They're not getting the slice of the pie, and all the producers and the movie, all that, they're making all the money, and they're using the actors and the writers and not sharing the wealth with them. Right.
That's it in a nutshell. And we've also got the auto workers are all going on strike too. So we're in a really strike-bound period here in the United States, where it might be a long time and really affect the economy in a lot of different ways. But yeah, the actors will tell you that the average annual salary of an actor in Hollywood is $26,000 a year. And that's when you take into account people like George Clooney that make $15 million a movie. So I don't know how that all works out, but when you take the supporting actors, the craft people, the horse wranglers, the set designers, all those things together, they haven't been getting any more money for a long time. That's what they're saying. And then the Netflix and some of those people won't pay residuals at all. Netflix refuses to pay residuals. If something gets on Netflix and they run it again, nobody gets any money from it. I mean, that's contrary to old television even,
Wow.
Andy Griffith reruns got residuals for until all those people died. And then I'm sure Sheldon Leonard, who was the producer, I'm sure his family is getting residuals because it still airs everywhere, so I don't know. That's a tough one.
Well, this is all just endemic of capitalism in general, where we
We're
are
in
right
end
now.
stage
The whole thing,
capitalism.
everything goes to the top, and
Yeah.
that's seen as cool. I mean, that's none of this sharing bullshit. Are you kidding me? Fuck you!
Yeah.
I'm not sharing anything.
All right, I want to share a couple of movies.
You're replaceable.
I want to share a couple of movies. The Wind That Shakes the Barley. This is a 2006 Irish movie, a little over 2 hours long, and it's about the Irish independent revolution and two brothers that end up fighting on different sides. And I thought the Irish guys would love this. They've probably already seen it, but it's free on Plex. Anybody ever watch or keep an eye on what Plex is doing? Plex.com.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, they've got it, and I think it's available to rent in a couple of places too. And it's got Cillian Murphy. I was looking at Cillian Murphy movies, and this was one of his where he got a lot of good Irish awards and things like that. So it put me in touch with him. And then my other one is Harry Dean Stanton. You guys, if you know who he is, he's a character actor, and he's had, I don't know, he's been in 80 movies in his career, and he died a couple of years ago. But he was the lead actor in 3 of them, and this is one of the 3. And it's called Paris, Texas, from 1984. It's a little long, 2 hours, 25 minutes. It was directed by Wim Wenders, and the music is by Ry Cooder.
Oh yeah.
It's about an aimless drifter who has decides to come out of the desert and reconnect with himself and his life and his family. And that's Harry Dean. So those are my 2, and I'll send you more on that, Bill, so you'll have all the details. It's available on Max, and it's for rent on Prime and iTunes.
All right.
I did watch the
Yeah.
Barbie movie Friday night. Don't waste
What'd you
your
think? Oh, really? You didn't like it?
time. No, it's stupid. I don't have a lot of tolerance for that kind of movie, and this will be much to my son's chagrin whenever I tell him, because he's like, "Oh, Mom, you gotta watch Barbie," and my daughter-in-law, "Oh yeah." Ugh. It's the honor.
We didn't hit you up, Jeff, with a G. Do you have any recommendations?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Who's got next week's pick?
I think I probably do.
Yeah.
Because we double back to get Harry.
Yeah.
Beth Flint.
Okay.
I
Well-
got a couple of things I'm thinking about.
I really like your picture there, Jeff, with a J.
Hmm.
Nice.
It's a little wider than your picture. I cut Michael Keaton off a little bit.
Because you didn't like his performance.
I was.
Is Beth Flint your
yeah.
wife, Jeff?
Is what?
Beth Flint, is that your wife?
No, that's that's my office manager, and I logged in on her earlier today because I was doing a Zoom with a patient. So I didn't go back and change it. I guess I need to log in as me.
So you keep the Zoom number handy.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I didn't even notice that, Jeff. You should have brought that up earlier.
Yeah,
Good.
good question.
Mr. Jeff's alter ego. He doesn't tell everyone he does this. Doesn't let
She's my work wife.
Oh,
Nice. All right, guys. Well, and girls, we made it. So be looking next week. I guess we're back on.
Mhm.
All right.
Till next time.
Till next
All
time.
right.
See y'all.
Thanks,
Just a
gang.
straight
care.
story.
Bye.